Hello, everyone, and welcome again to the Notable and Black in Tech podcast, the place where we like to give platform to people that look like me that are absolutely killing it in tech as entrepreneurs and career professionals. Just a little bit of background about again about how we got started and why we got started. I've been in tech as a software developer for about 20 years. Early in my career, I noticed that when I picked up a book or when I went to conferences, I didn't see us on stage. I didn't see people like me writing books and doing blogs, anything like that. And so there was always something in me that said that we need a platform. We need to see more of us out there. Because I thought about the next generation, like out there, always in my mind. And today, we have an absolute amazing guest today. I have Robert Washington, the founder and CEO of Shelter Share. He has an absolutely amazing story, how it got started, what he's been doing, and on what he has planned for the future. And we just want to get in here and have this great conversation to learn more about Robert, what he's done and what he's doing. So with that, let's welcome Robert. Welcome to the Notable and Black in Tech podcast.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate you having me on. I'm excited to come from Oklahoma City up here to Tulsa to be on Notable Bit. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for being here. So yeah, Oklahoma City's right down here in Tulsa. I'm from Memphis. When I first moved here, I was telling my dad that me and my family we coming to Tulsa. First thing he said was, "You know, there's Tornado Alley, don't you?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, it's Tornado Alley." So, folks, that's a part of what we're talking about today. Not about Tornado Alley, but what it does and what it means, and how Robert is becoming an advocate and an answer in that area. So he created this app called Shelter Share, and I'm going to let him tell us a little bit about that, or tell us his story, how it got started, and then we get into a little bit more conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Essentially, Shelter Share is a mobile app. This is actually my second app, so I'm excited about that. But the first version of the app was basically set up to help people find shelters before severe weather, specifically tornadoes. So,
Okay.
my story specifically is back in about 2014, 2015. My daughter had just been born. We like, sitting in the house in a two-story apartment at that. Where are we going to go if a storm happens? Never even thought about it. So the storm is about a mile from my house, and I'm still literally holding her thinking like, what are we gonna do? And in that moment, I was like, that's kind of how Shelter Share was born.
Mm.
So just kind of thought on and literally just kind of sat on the thoughtful idea. I didn't know where to start. I didn't know how to start. I didn't know where to even begin. But I just started doing my research and doing my research and just like, what can I do? My first thing that I it was called We Go Pitch. And it
Okay.
was like a pitch weekend. That was the first pitch weekend I had ever heard of. And it was in Dallas.
Okay.
And I signed up for this thing. This thing was like $200. I drove down there and I just got in the mix. So we go pitch, you go to these events, you go in there, and everybody gets the opportunity to pitch their event. And then they do a vote on what's the best event. And then you work in a group to solve that problem. They kind of have like the accelerators and stuff like that
Okay.
now. But this was like in 2015. So went to that. Obviously didn't win, but it sparked my interest at that point in time. And from that point on, it was game on. It was game on at that point in time.
I like what I hear. I like the drive and the motivation you had. You said because you was in this situation, and immediately your brain began to start the wheels began to turn in your brain.
Yeah.
And after the storm was over, after the storm, you immediately began to go to work doing research,
Yep.
because you're like, I don't know what to do, but I know I must do something.
I must do something. I knew I wasn't the only person who was dealing with that type of issue. They don't
Mhm.
have public shelters, and Oklahoma City gets hit by tornadoes pretty much all the time,
Mhm.
specifically like the Moore area. And sometimes it's rural, but at the same time, the threat is there all
Yeah.
the time. So again, I knew I wasn't the only one that was suffering from this and was struggling with where do I go. And if the city and the state doesn't offer these resources, they tell you to shelter in place, which is great. But in my idea, two-story apartment building, low income. Let's just keep it real.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's gonna blow this thing off the roof, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't feel that was a safe environment for my family at that
Okay.
time.
Okay. So let's go back and let's talk about how you start, because you did say that this is your second app now,
Yeah.
but it started one way, and then evolved
evolved.
into what you're doing now. I hope you're enjoying this show. Whenever you get an opportunity, get a chance, check out my website at www.notablebit.com. You'll find some good information there. But whatever platform you're listening on, please feel free to leave a review. You can also communicate with us on Instagram at notablebit. Now back to the show. The first iteration of your app, how did that start and what did that look like?
Well, for me, I was like, I need something that's accessible and something that's quick. Like,
Okay.
nobody has time. So even before the storms comes, let's just say the electricity or something like that went out. You don't have access to it, but you still have your cell phone. So that was my first thought.
Okay.
We're going into the cell phone era. So I was like, I got to be able to create something to be able to reach people quickly because that's what they want. And in that process, I was like, well, maybe I could just do an app. There's not an app or nothing like this. And there,
Yeah.
Apple always, or, the
Yep.
commercial, there's an app for that. And I was
Yep.
like, well, there's not an app for this. So I was like, let me figure this out. So
Okay.
honestly, I still probably sat on it because I didn't start this journey after 2015 until 2022.
Okay.
So it took all of that time of just thinking, understanding where to start. And then I still didn't know where to start.
So what was your background at this time?
At that time, was still in supply chain. I was just,
Okay.
warehouse work, throwing boxes wherever you could throw boxes.
Been there.
So supply chain work, doing as much supply chain work, just making sure that things can get off. But at that time, I, doing research and then watching YouTube channels and stuff like that, I was like, well, you have to learn how to whiteboard or storyboard or really come out with a process like this.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so I had drawings. Like, I'd love to be able to go back.
Yeah.
I even look at my old notepads and sometimes the notes that I wrote, like, it's crazy, how you evolved over these years.
Yeah.
But I was storyboarding and just researching, like, how do you do this? And I remember I contacted an organization that helps startups and stuff like that. And at this time, and it kind of still is, but it was more like biotech and things of that nature. That's really
Okay.
what they invested in. But I reached out to them and got somebody on the phone and was like, do this. And the young lady, she just gave me some information. She was like, you need to maybe try these avenues first. And then I was like, okay, well, at least they didn't just shut me down.
Yeah.
You're just not for me right now.
Right.
So that's when I decided to really dive into it. And then that's when I stumbled upon accelerator programs.
Okay. And so accelerator programs. So the accelerator programs are those the things that help you to give you the boost that you needed to give you the foundational or the floor that you can actually stand on to be able to move forward.
Absolutely, because I just finished high school. I didn't go to college or anything like that, so I didn't have that network. And I laugh and I tell this all the time. Like, when it comes to business and where you grow up at, the only person that was doing business was that shady uncle doing that weird stuff, selling sodas and pops and stuff out the back of the hat. But it really wasn't a business. Now, he was doing business, and I'm not knocking it, but not the way traditional business is done.
Right.
But those accelerator programs were my crash courses in college to understand how to put structure together, understand validating your product. And, now we're going into programs that, we've both been in. But once I discovered that first accelerator program, I was off to the races at that point in time.
Okay, awesome. So now you have an idea that's been incubating within your heart, your mind, everything.
Everything.
And now you get involved in accelerator programs. And so now when it comes to actually building your the first iteration of your app, so did you learn the code, or did you use no code tools, or did you find a developer to work with to help you build your app? So what was that process like?
Well, I say in that process of being in supply chain and learning procurement and stuff like that, you learn to be resourceful. So once I got in the first accelerator program and was able to validate that I had something that was legit, I found a no-code developer basically off of multiple platforms that everybody know about, and found a developer overseas who would do a no-code version of my app.
Okay.
And that's how I built the first version. It came out good. I was pumping it out, doing pitch events and going anywhere I could. And I got the users up and stuff like that. But at the same time, like to be able to scale and stuff like that, The only way I was able to validate it was having a storm hit the city, and I never could validate it for good reasons,
Okay.
right?
Right. Right.
But I still had
But
to
you needed a storm.
but I needed a storm. I needed a storm. Like, I
Yeah.
need y'all to get on there. And I also like to tell the story of how I validated. And everybody does these lo-fi experiments. And my lo-fi experiment was the Wizard of Oz.
Okay.
And in the beginning, I didn't have an app, but in order for me to validate that, I would go to homeowners associations and all of this good stuff, and I would find people who had shelters. And then I would get in these storm groups and all that. So when the weather started acting up ugly, I'd be in these storm groups posting, "Hey, are you looking for shelter? Like, do you know where to find these things
Yeah.
from?" And people be like, "Yeah, I don't." But I was like, "I got you covered." So I created a database with 2 spreadsheets. I had a whole list of people who had shelters, and I had a list of people who needed shelters. And when the storms would come up, I was literally matching them behind the scenes. Like, you need to go somewhere. They reach out to me. Will you go over here to ABC address? And like I say, the Wizard of Oz is because when you watch the Wizard of Oz, it was the
Mm.
yellow brick road. It was all great. It's the Oz, and when you
Yeah.
got there, it was just a little man behind the curtain. Well, I
Yeah.
was the little man behind the curtain,
Yeah.
putting this stuff together, validating until I was able to get this app built.
And that's the cool thing about tech, and that's one of the reasons why I have a love for tech, because I've been in tech, doing tech stuff kind of most of my life. Like I said, professionally about 20 years. The cool thing about tech is that you can come from any background,
Hmm.
and you can come from little education, no education. If you got the drive and the ideas, then you can move into this space and create anything,
Anything, yes,
anything,
anything.
anything. And so you're doing. And I'm gonna tell you what came to mind when we talked about you in the background. You got your data points. You got your
Yeah.
spreadsheets. So you almost like a little AI agent in the a live AI agent in the
I was
background.
AI before AI. Like,
Yeah,
I got to create this
that's
happen and
yeah.
imagine people and making them think that it was something there that physically wasn't there yet.
Oh
But
wow.
I just kept putting it out there, kept putting it out there. If the weather get ugly, I'm posting in these groups, and you know that's when I learned about Facebook groups. There's so much learned
Mhm.
on that journey, and how much other tech was already out there to help you get into tech, or to help you build tech,
Yeah,
or to help your tech get further.
yeah.
That was a crazy challenge, but yeah, that's pretty much how I started.
Okay, wow. So now that you've gotten your Wizard of Oz experiment, and you've gotten you've gotten your data collection and results from that. So now that you got the iteration, it's ready to be presented. It's
Mhm.
ready for the public. What was that experience like for you, and what are some of the things you learned during that experience?
I start off with what I learned. What I learned is no matter how much you think you are solving a problem, or you're in a space where nobody is,
Hmm.
when that app came out, I'm not gonna even lie, I was on a high horse. I was like, "Ooh, I got an app." Like, I put an
Yeah,
app in the app store. Like,
yeah,
who does that? Like,
yeah,
just coming from me, I'm like, who
yeah.
does that? And then when it hit in the app store, and I'm sitting there watching them numbers every day, like, this is a great idea. Like, people gonna want this,
Yeah,
and them numbers wasn't going anywhere.
right.
So straight out the gate, I knew this is finna be an uphill challenge. Like,
Hmm.
who are you? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you
Hmm.
think you have a great idea. So those uphill challenges, the good thing about it is by this time I was probably in my third accelerator program. So I had that support, those key people that I could fall back on,
Yeah,
that kept me going.
yeah.
And that just gave it to me straight. Yeah, I think you have a good idea, but you need to validate this. Who is your customer? Now we starting to go into customer discovery, product market fit. Now you
Mhm.
taking the next step. Like, now I didn't validate it, but who is it for? And,
Right.
so now you start taking these steps in the journey of learning what it is. But yeah, it was a hard reality right up front.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, because it is a hard reality, because when you have an idea and when you create something, and you get that thing in your hand, that shiny new toy, that shiny.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an aha moment. It's like the birth of a new baby. But then you don't realize that you got to change them diapers. You got to teach. You got to do
Yes.
all this stuff to cultivate that thing, and,
Yes.
and to get it to grow, and so you learn some things. So when did you begin to start to see some successes that made you feel like you were moving forward, and what was that like?
When I actually started getting downloads and people were actually using it. So organically, I still wasn't doing any marketing.
Hmm.
And some of the shelters, So there are some shelters. They're not necessarily public shelters,
Mm-hmm.
but they open them up for certain reasons, and we'll just
Okay.
kind of leave it at that. But when those
Okay.
type of shelters organically started coming on the app themselves, and I wasn't out there, then I was like, okay, this is real because
Okay.
this is a legit place who opened their doors to legit customers who was on my app, allowing people to make these reservations through the app. So those were those little shots. I was like, okay, so maybe I do have something. And then again, in those accelerator programs, when I was able to start talking to people who were decision makers and stuff like that, and sometimes you feel like you don't belong in those rooms. So once I
Mm-hmm.
got in those rooms, I was like, okay, now we're making progress, right? Like I'm here, people are validating what I'm saying. Like it's a great idea. Let's try to get something going and stuff like that. That's when I knew that I was on the right track at that point.
Okay,
Yeah,
you said when you find yourself in rooms, you feel like you feel like you don't belong in those rooms. And I know how they feel sometimes because we can come from certain backgrounds and then we find ourselves in a certain room, even though we actually do belong there
yeah,
because of what we bring,
yeah.
because of what we bring to the table. But there's a shift that has to happen in our mindset to let us know, hey, I do belong here. So let me step up. Has that shift taken place, and when did it take place, and how was that for you?
Uh, It has taken place.
Okay,
I will say now I don't feel some type of way in those
okay,
rooms. In the beginning of my journey, I did feel some type of way. And I ain't gonna say I guess imposter syndrome will be later because you like now I done made it. Now
yeah,
I'm like, now do I not? But at those times, yeah, I felt some type of way because again, I didn't go to college. Everybody I was talking to was such and such PhD this, MBA that. And I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, do
yeah,
I really belong in this room? But I still stood on the product. I still stood on what
hmm,
I had built. I still came on the journey. I didn't give myself credit for even building the first app. And when I did it in 9 months, I didn't think that was a milestone. Like, you know
yeah,
what I mean? I didn't think about those things
hmm,
until now, like in
yeah,
my journey.
yeah,
But I did feel some type of way being in those rooms. But I must say, if you got motion and people know that you got something doing, it's not as harsh because
right,
they like you're not in here just to be hanging around or you're not
right,
mooching or whatever. So if you got something going, then it encourages you because everybody is not looking down on you in that way. And you do have to go through that psychologically to figure out, okay, I do belong here. I'm here for a reason. They're
yeah,
not here looking at me and my background. They're looking at here in the product or whatever service that I
yeah,
have currently to
right.
offer.
So you had your first app and your second app. So tell us about your second app, how you got here,
But
and what it is.
yeah, absolutely. So I'll tell you how I got here, then I'll tell you what it is.
Okay,
I
yeah,
got here because I knew I couldn't validate the product because no storms would hit Oklahoma City for me to validate those shelters
okay,
in that time. Also, I had been in the journey. I got to the point to where I was finna to get ready to get a pilot program, and this is where I say I didn't know anything about tech, and this is like I call it founder follies. These are those things that when you're in your journey, you don't know what you don't know, and I learned now that you need to go back and look at your tech or look at the things, your process that you already had in place. That being said, I got a pilot program and they were going to allow me to put these overflow winter shelters on my app, and it
okay,
didn't work. The app
okay.
stopped working.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I'm 18 months into this journey and never really just looked at my back end stuff that was storing
Okay.
all my data and stuff like that. Just
Yeah.
I'm like it's built. I was off to the races. That was
Yeah.
what was in my head. So being able to lose out on that pilot program kind of hurt me at that point in time. Like I wasn't ready to give up, but it was like, okay, it was just a lesson learned. That's why I say everything is a lesson learned. Also in that time though, because I couldn't validate it, a good mentor of mine's, she spoke, she was like, well, if you can't validate it this way, maybe you should look at it validating the other way. Who else needs services or who else needs these type of support and stuff like that? And she literally just said, like homeless people. And then another light bulb went off, and I was like, aha. So at that point in time, I kind of just dove into it. I jumped in, like just whatever conferences or meetings or
Hmm.
that related to that topic, and then I started making contacts in there and started asking them, how do you reach your customer? I see all these people. Y'all say y'all want to help with all of the homelessness and all of these people with low income to give them the resources. How they doing it? And they was like, we not. I was like, I got you. Like, I'll be right back. So I took that pivot 2 years or a year ago in October of last year, or the year before, whatever,
Hmm.
2023, and
Hmm.
took that pivot and I just kind of ran with it. Got in that market and I was like, well, if it's not just me, it's others that need all of these wraparound services, right?
Okay.
So jumped into that, and then we started working on the next version of the app. And then I was like, how can I get this next version of the app out to the market faster than I did the first time? And I knew that by volunteering that they always have lifeline programs, the service phones. People like they call them Obama phones, but
Okay. Yeah.
with those phones, that's how I did it. So I would just go out and go find wherever they was posted up at, and I'd be like, they'd give out a phone to someone who in need, and I'd be like, hey, if you need to find these services, then I just give them the app because the app is essentially for free. It just a whole list of allowing you to find the services that you need based on your location. So it'll work anywhere in the world. Essentially, the first version did not do that. It only worked in Oklahoma, but this version works everywhere, which makes it exciting. So even when I travel now, I pull it up just to make sure that it's working right. And we was just looking at it outside, like it's pulling up all the resources and all the things that you need available around you. So I could get away from just that storm market. But a lot of people need this. Homelessness is a huge issue right now in the US. So
Yeah.
yeah, I just felt another problem to solve.
You came in to meet one problem because it came out of necessity.
Hmm.
It's something that you experienced in your experience. Um, the idea began to turn in your head, and you went to work, and something was birthed out of necessity, but not knowing. And one thing I've learned about life and journey
Hmm.
is that s- sometimes we never know what journeys take us. We'll start out on a pathway not knowing where it's leading to. We have an
Hmm.
idea where it's leading to, but we don't realize that the place we think is leading us is only a stopping point.
That's
And
right.
so that stopping point was the initial version of the app. Essentially, the groundwork is already laid.
Hmm.
All we have to do now is just pivot
Exactly.
to another place, and we can take this framework and just shift it, and it opens the doors for other things. I'm coming from a technical background. Come from a technical background. You're like, okay, you know that no application is ever finished because it's always
Something.
evolving. It's
Hmm.
always changing. So, how is the app doing now? You just said you was outside just today, just checking and making sure. So, how often do you look at your app? Do you check it every
I
day?
check it every day. I mean, yeah, because I mean, it's just good to know. I want to know when somebody clicks on it that
Yeah.
it's up. I don't want it to see that it's down
Hmm.
because then I mean, if it's down for me and somebody might actually need it, it's probably going
Yeah.
to be down for them. So I click on it every day. I click on it because it's based off a location wherever I travel or whatever. I open it up and I click on it. When I tell people to download it or I go speak somewhere, I'll be like, if you travel somewhere, send me a screenshot of when you in
Yeah.
California because I just want to know that
Yeah.
that it's working out there.
Yeah.
That gives me the momentum to keep going, and it's validating that it's
Yeah.
actually working. And I know if someone gets it in their hands in those areas, it's gonna work.
Okay. Awesome. So, is there more
Yes, it is more.
that's
So
coming?
we did a soft launch on September 28th when we had a big homelessness event in downtown Oklahoma City, and then we officially launched. I think it was October 7th. So from I say October 7th until now, we're past 700 downloads. So that's Apple and Google. So I'm excited about that. I mean, and this is no marketing, this is no
Yeah.
advertising. This is just LinkedIn, Instagram. Please
Just
download my
all
app.
organic
You
stuff.
know what I
Yeah.
mean? Just straight like that. But there is more because people are asking for more, and I work with such great developers that they give me free reign to give more. So that
Okay.
being said, uh, we can initially pinpoint where clothing closets and pop-ups like we do. We go out every Sunday at 1 o'clock and we serve at a different area in Oklahoma City.
Okay.
I can send out a notification and tell you we're serving in this area, and it will ping the people in that area so they know to gather to come over to that area so they can get those resources they need. Also working with like people who have like Section 8 housing and stuff. A
Hmm.
lot of those houses are not showing up on Zillow. They don't
Yeah.
want them to see. We can now place those type of houses on our app. So if you're searching for those
Oh
type of
wow.
housing,
Okay.
we can add those. So these are things that we can add because these are things that the people are asking for. Because essentially it's just going to be a whole wraparound service. You need
Yeah.
housing? Okay, we got you. You need clothes, we got you. You need food, okay, we got you. You need shelter, okay, we got you. You still need to stay in a public shelter, we got you on that too. You still need a storm shelter, we got you on that too, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's like just keep building
yeah.
and keep adding. But all of this still is a process. You can't all roll this stuff out at one time.
You're
You
right.
got to make sure that if you put it on there, that people are going to use that portion of the app. So
Yes.
obviously customer discovery is huge, product market fit is huge, but
Hmm.
I'm very, very, very blessed and thankful for the people that I work with to give me free reign to be able to build this and do this the way that I see
Awesome.
fit.
Awesome.
Yeah.
A part of software development, a part of building application service, technical services, um, customer feedback is important because you can have you can build out the framework, the structures, the application, and all the things that's needed, but there are things that need to be tweaked or make it miss because in the hands of the user, the one that's actually using it,
Hmm.
they're the ones that, hey, you know what, it would be better, it'd be nicer if you can do this instead of do
Hmm.
it this way. So is that something that you have in place, and how do you handle that?
Yeah, I love customer feedback, and I'll even say going back to the whole customer discovery thing, and I recommend it to anybody who
Hmm.
doing tech or building a business. Like you need to do customer discovery. And that same mentor that I'm speaking of, she I ain't gonna say she wouldn't talk to me, but she was like, you need to go get it, 100 minimum customer discoveries of who you're talking to. And
Yeah.
I'm get to your
Mm.
answer your
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
Basically, what ended up happening is that feedback, that customer discovery, you're not going to listen to everything they're
Well, of
saying, but
course,
at
of
the end of the
course.
day, there's a common denominator there.
Yes,
That's
right.
going to be something
Exactly.
there that you got from all of these people. At the end of the day, they literally they just want this. They just said it this way. This person just said it
Hmm.
this way. So once you find out what exactly it is that they're looking for, you're like, okay, out of the 1,000 people I spoke to, 600 said it. It's probably needed. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So you have to be diligent in doing that because somebody be like, well, I don't like this. And maybe you
Yeah.
should just put a place where all of the ice machines at. Well,
No,
nobody's looking
yeah,
for
I know,
ice
right,
machines.
right, yo, though that should be green instead of blue. But
There you go.
so, but yeah, yeah, you're right. Because with the customer discovery, because even as a software developer, I'll tell you this, that I have clients that, like, okay, this is what I want, and I want this, and I want to do this, and
Mhm.
this. Okay, all right, okay, I hear you. Let's stop for a moment. What's going on? What's your problem
What are you trying to solve?
that you're trying to solve?
Hmm.
And what is the result you're looking for? And then we can figure out how to do this, and this.
Hmm. I
A
agree.
lot of times, like when you talk about the customer feedback, you got 600 people saying all these different things, but they saying it in a different way.
Mm.
Okay, I see what y'all saying. Okay, but we can do this, and this right here is going to answer their problem.
Exactly. Exactly. And
Yeah,
when you get that fine, and then it allows you to build on that. And then when you add that in there, they can be like, because you added that, it might be something that you need to add away or something
right,
that you had in there at the beginning that you can
right,
take away because
exactly.
that'll solve that whole issue
Yeah,
sometimes. So
yeah,
customer feedback is huge. Like
yeah.
it's never negative unless somebody's saying your stuff is trash or something. But like be like, well, can you tell me why? Like,
Yeah,
just
right.
tell me why so I
Mhm.
can have a understanding of
Yeah.
how to move forward.
Yeah, and so and I want to ask you about sense of purpose. Can
Okay.
we because as the conversation is going, I'm thinking about, so because I'm a big purpose guy.
Okay. Yeah, me
I'm a
too.
big purpose guy because I let people have purposes and assignments in his life. So what do you feel like your sense of purpose is concerning? Because I know, and I know that this was birthed out of something that it just came from out of nowhere,
Yep.
unexpected. This is not something you grew up and said, one day you know what, I'm gonna grow up, I'm gonna do this right here. But now this is something that came through life
Hmm.
experience. So is this a part of a greater purpose, or what? So let's just talk about that a little. I want to hear from you. What are you thinking along those lines?
Yeah, absolutely. It is a part of a greater purpose because I had to figure out what my gift was, and my gift was to serve others.
Hmm.
And the app allowed me to do that. But in building the app, it gave me so much growth. It gave me so much confidence, all these other things that
Yeah.
come along with it. Now it's like I have to give people the resources, the tools, anything. And whether entrepreneur, whether homeless, whether anything, like it just flows through me now. Like my purpose now is to help others be able to reach their maximum, capabilities of what they are. again, all of this information that I had, again, I didn't go to college, all this, so all this information that I have, and people come to me now, which is the craziest thing, but I love it, asking me for this stuff. I just give it to them freely. People be like, you need to charge for these calls. You need to be on there. I haven't come to terms to be able to do that. I probably should, but I can't
Mm-hmm.
because I just feel like you were in the same position that I was in 5 years ago and didn't know where
Yeah.
to go. Why am I going to charge you to help you get to, get the just basic information? If you need information how to get into an accelerator program, well, here's an accelerator program. If you need, where to go look for this resource or this tool, you could probably look here. Use
Mm-hmm.
ChatGTP for everything or whatever the case may be. But my gift is to serve others, and how I do that is either through the app, through volunteering, giving people the information that was given to me for free.
And that's and that is a notable thing.
You heard it.
I've had mentors in the past that talked about that there's a thing you do that you charge for, and then that's the passion project you do.
Hmm.
The thing that you're passionate about, that you give away, that you serve, because every community don't have the dollars to be able to do things, and especially the communities that you're serving through your app. So, and I know it costs money because you got these developers, you're doing these things. So, is there funding? Are you doing some kind of funding to help you with this? So how are you able to keep the wheels turning,
Uh,
giving stuff away? I hope you're enjoying the show. And whatever podcasting platform you're listening on, please feel free to leave a review. And if you're watching us on YouTube, feel free to like and subscribe. Now back to the show.
Plain and simple. From those accelerator programs, a couple of them I was able to get grants.
Okay.
We was in one that was the same. I got 5K from that one, and then I got 10K from the other one. That's how I built the second version. But honestly, relationships,
Relationships.
straight up relationships. You go out and you tell people what you do. You be honest, and people will work with you. I can't. It is the craziest thing. That was an experience when you say like being in these rooms. You start developing relationships, and you be like, "This person really likes me," or
Yeah.
whatever. Like they just taking a liking to you. But apparently, sometimes these people see stuff in you that you don't always see in yourself.
Exactly.
And you start to
Yep.
find that out later on in your
Mhm.
journey. You
Yep.
be like, "Well, why did you do this?" You be like, "Because I seen you had something."
Mhm.
But at the same time, I still needed to see you put in the work
Yep.
to prove to me that I saw what I saw was real. And when I did that, now I have people, my developer, I have a great relationship with them. And like I said, they gave me free reign to build. They just say, Robert, you go out and sell this, and you go out and you make this happen, and we'll build it. Because they know for a fact that I got them
Yeah.
however I see fit.
Yeah.
So grant funding, if you can find it, like good luck, let me know. But accelerator programs and relationships, man, it's all related. That
Awesome.
who you know is so very true because they get you in spaces like this and stuff like
Yeah.
that based off of people you know.
And who you know. So, and like you said, who you know, but it does not begin with who you know. It begins with it begins with those making those connection points.
Making those connections.
Because when, like I said, building those relationships, and that becomes who you know.
That's right. That's right. And those relationships is built off of because people see that you're doing something. If
Yes.
like I say, you can't just be in there just sitting in the room.
Right, of course.
If these people, you talk to people and people like, oh, I don't like networking events. I'm like, I love them because you just never know. And every time you go in there, people feel your energy. People understand that stuff, and they be like, I want to help you. And next thing you know, you sit in the room with this person. You be like,
Yeah.
wow, this is amazing.
Yeah,
and it just keeps going. And then you just build another relationship.
Yeah, and you find yourself, and then you often find yourself in rooms like, how did I get here?
Exactly. I'm really sitting in this room at this table. You'd be like, okay, but I guess I got a presentation to do. Like, sign
Yeah.
me up. But it is sometimes like it do. I tell my wife that too. I'd be like, can you? In the beginning, it really used to shock. They put me on a phone call with the CEO of this Fortune 500 company. I'd be shocked. I'd be in there breathing hard before I would get on the Zoom call. And now somebody be like, oh, I'm gonna connect you to something. I'd be like, I should have talked to them a long time ago. Like, so your confidence changes because
Yeah.
you have confidence, you have growth, and you know you're going in there with a purpose. You're not
Yeah.
going there to talk to these people
Exactly.
and ask them about,
Right.
whatever.
Right. Right.
They're coming in there for a reason. And sometimes when they want to meet you, is even more humbling. You'd be like,
Yeah.
you reaching out to me? Like, yeah, I love it.
What's next for you? Do you see it evolving into something greater than what it is today? Or do you see you're doing the thing that is meant to do? You're just gonna continue to do that work and do as much of it as you can.
Both of them. I know I'm doing great work. I know I'm in a good space. I know I'm solving a problem that nobody's really tapped into.
Hmm.
Is there someone else in my space doing what I'm doing? Yes. And in my opinion, the way that they're trying to reach the people is backwards
Okay.
because, again, the disconnect is between the social organizations and the people that they're reaching.
Okay.
If you just go into the social organizations and then telling the social organizations again to put out the reach, if they already ain't got the reach, how
Hmm.
they gonna get it again,
Right.
right? So I feel like because of the way that I approach it, is going to be successful. It's not a doubt in my mind that it's going to be successful. And the fact of the things that I'm able to add and how I can build, I know that it's going to be successful. So we just have to continue pressing forward. We just have to continue building, staying in the right rooms and continue to build those relationships. But yeah, I 100% believe in what it's doing.
Awesome. Awesome. I'm 100% believing it too. I do want to ask you this because I know that you connect to people is location based.
Hmm.
Connect to people those resources. How are you getting those resources to be a part of your app? What how are you doing? How are you making those connections?
So two ways. Right now, everything is just based off the algorithm. It looks for resources, shelter, so it just organically
Okay.
pulls those things to the
Oh,
app.
got you.
When an actual organization actually signs on to an app, then we can really step it up because now we can offer real time bed availability. We can offer the check in process. We cut down their check in
Mm,
process. At that point in time, they're vetted. They could come in and literally just scan a barcode and say, I'm Robert. I'm checking in today because I need to do resume writing.
mm,
So being able to build and have those services because the user at the end of the day, every time that they go to a different organization, don't want to have to go through this whole
yeah.
filing of paperwork all over
Yeah.
again. They want their services and they generally want them now. Like
Yeah.
when we serve, and if you say, "Oh, I'll get back to you tomorrow," and I'll try to reach out to somebody, they're gone. Like if you don't offer that
Yeah.
housing or whatever at that moment, they go on to the next thing. So that's what we're in the process of onboarding and just trying to get it out there. I mean, we're in the rooms with the right organizations. We just need more of it.
It seems like that may actually make kind of easier and a little bit efficient for you to get connected with organizations. So you don't have to try to employ a whole bunch of people to go out and talk to these people,
It
get them to
just takes
sign
off.
on.
No, no. It's literally already there. Just literally
Wow.
I just need you to download it and do it. And then once I got all these users, I'm be like, you want to reach these users. Like you need to they want to know where the food is and you're serving over here on Wednesdays and they don't know it. I literally just solved that problem for you.
Awesome.
Because we all been on the other side. I'm gonna tell people we always a paycheck away from needing a food basket or needing something like that. Like we
Yeah.
always like, oh, it's not for me. Well, yeah, it kind of is because
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we all have jobs and we do stuff, but I mean, if
Hmm.
somebody wanted to give me a food basket right now, I'm taking
Yeah.
groceries is
Yeah.
high.
Yeah. Because it's comfortable as we can be, and as comfortable as we can get, and as safeguarded
Mhm.
as we can build our lifestyles. Anything can happen. A natural disaster can happen. A war can happen. Economic
There
downturn
you
can
go.
happen. There's a lot of things that happen that can absolutely.
Put you in that category.
Exactly.
It's not just homelessness. You could be
Yeah.
put in that category
Yeah.
because there's something
Yeah.
that you may
Yeah.
need, transportation, whatever the case.
Hmm.
You
And
may need
you
it.
could be put into the category either temporarily or permanently, and it works for whether you permanently in that situation or you temporarily
Temporarily in
in
that
that situation.
situation. Yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, very great service.
It benefits you either way.
So Robert, so I've been enjoying this conversation. So now, if someone wants to find out about you, your app, what you're doing, or if they want to connect with you or follow you on socials,
Yeah.
so feel free to give us that information. Tell us where they can find you and your app and
Yeah,
all that information.
absolutely. You can download the app. It is Shelter Share app. That's exactly what it says in the app stores, both of them, Google and iOS. You can find me on LinkedIn, just Robert Washington. I should pop right up. It says founder of Shelter Share, Tech for the Rescue. You can find me on Instagram at Shelter Share with me. You can find me on Facebook at Shelter Share Oklahoma. We do kind of post on there constantly. We tell you about other little things that are just kind of going on in the area. Just trying to keep people informed of the things that are available to them that they might not know. But anything from like rental resources or just anything like that. Like you can go on there and I'll post something about it.
Okay, awesome, Robert. Look, thank you for coming
Thank
out
you.
today. Thank you for being a part of this podcast. I really enjoyed this conversation. And folks, you hear Robert's an absolute rock star out here serving the people, getting them connected to the resources that they need. And thank you for joining us on
Thank
today.
you. I appreciate it.